My wife said, "I'm your wife, not your maid in front of my family." So I reached out to her sister, and when she saw us together, her eyes went red. But what happened next ruined her life. I'm Daniel. I live in Denver with my wife, Riley. We've been married for a year and a half. We met in 2021 and moved into a small place in Capitol Hill. That Friday, we drove to my parents' townhouse in Lakewood for my mom's birthday. The house smelled like roast chicken and butter. My dad opened a bottle of red. The table was crowded with dishes and cousins and the usual noise of family. I set a basket of rolls by Riley's plate and took my seat. Her phone was face down, but kept lighting up. I leaned toward her and kept my voice low. "Can you warm the rolls?" I tilted the basket toward the oven. She didn't look up. "I'm your wife, not your maid." The room didn't go loud or dramatic. It just went still. Forks hung in the air. My cousin looked down at his plate. I tried to smooth it over. "It's just the rolls." 2 minutes. Riley met my eyes then. Her face was calm. "If you want me to cook for you, marry another woman." Somewhere behind us, the oven beeped. My mom stared at the casserole like it might say something helpful. My aunt's eyebrows climbed and stayed there. Riley stood, slid her phone into her clutch, and smoothed her dress. She looked finished with the whole night. That was the spark. We left early. The air outside was cold and sharp. Riley's heels clicked on the driveway as we walked to the car. I opened the door, then shut it again. The words came out tight. "Riley, you embarrassed me." It was bread, not a power play. She folded her arms. "You treat me like staff when your family's around." "That's not true. You didn't ask anyone else. You asked me." "I asked the person I trust. Not to serve me. To help me." She laughed once, short and hard. "You want a wife who performs. Smile, pass plates, be pleasant." "I want a partner who doesn't cut me down in front of my mother on her birthday." Her jaw moved like she was holding back more words. "Then you should have married someone who loves kitchens." That line hit like sleet. I opened the passenger door for her. She walked around me with her chin high and slid in without another word. The drive home was quiet except for the sound of the turn signal. Back in our apartment, we moved around each other like strangers. I took off my shoes, put them by the door, and stared at the dark window. She hung her coat, set her clutch on the counter, and scrolled through her phone again. I wanted to argue. I wanted to fix it. Both felt useless. I made tea I didn't want. She washed off her makeup. We slept on opposite edges of the bed. The space between us felt wide and strange, like a hallway in a building we didn't remember entering. In the morning, the dryer thumped. I brewed coffee. She ran the blender for a smoothie and left it on the counter. We didn't look at each other much. Every small sound had an edge. The clock over the stove ticked too loudly. I told myself it was just a fight about bread. I knew it wasn't. It was about respect. About who does what, and when, and how it gets counted. It was about the invisible scoreboard every couple builds by accident. Saturday passed in silence. The apartment felt smaller than it ever had. I cleaned the counter just to stay busy. Riley sat on the couch scrolling through her phone, her face blank, the same way it had been at dinner. At 10:40 a.m., she put down her cup like setting evidence on a table. "I'm not your helper," she said quietly. "Your family thinks I'm lazy. I won't audition for them." I looked up from my coffee, then stopped giving them a show. "Talk to me instead." Her eyes moved past me toward the balcony. "I'm going out." "Where?" "Anywhere that isn't here." The door shut behind her. The frame shook once. I stood there, half angry, half tired, and fully aware that something deeper was cracking. It wasn't about bread anymore. It was about control, ego, and pride. And I wasn't sure whose. That night, I didn't call her. I didn't text. I sat in front of the TV, pretending to watch something I couldn't remember 5 minutes later. Around midnight, I thought about what her sister, Sloane, once told me at our wedding. Riley's strongest when she's cornered, but that's also when she burns bridges. By Sunday afternoon, I gave in and texted Sloane. "Need advice. Please don't mention this to Riley yet." She agreed to meet at Brewline Coffee, a small place on Colfax. I got there early. She walked in wearing a hoodie and a ball cap. No makeup, just like the last time we'd met. "What's going on?" she asked, sliding into the chair across from me. I told her the short version. Dinner, the argument, the silence. I didn't dramatize it, just the facts. "I want to fix it," I said, "but I won't keep being the villain in my own marriage. Can you help me get through to her?" Sloane sighed and traced the edge of her coffee cup. Riley connects chores with control. Our mom was demanding. She still hears her voice whenever someone asks her to do anything domestic. If you push her, she'll just see you as another version of mom. So what do I do then? Make it about respect, not chores. Tell her what you need without making her feel trapped. I'll nudge her too, but you need to give her space. We talked about setting up a counseling session, neutral ground, not home turf. Tuesday, 7 p.m. It felt like a plan. Adult, calm, possible. Then the door chimed. Sloane noticed first. Don't turn around, she said softly. Of course I did. Riley was standing at the counter, waiting for her order, scanning the room. Her eyes stopped on me, and then on her sister. The small notebook between us, the words respect and Tuesday circled in ink, looked bad. Worse than it was. She walked over, steady and silent. The air in the cafe felt heavier with every step she took. Seriously, she said. Her voice wasn't raised. It was too controlled for that. You bring my sister into our marriage. Sloane stood immediately. Riley, wait. It's not what? No. Riley cut her off. You couldn't talk to me, so you went to her? What? You needed backup. Someone to fix your wife. Riley, I said carefully. We're trying to fix us. She looked down at the notebook again, then back at me. Her expression didn't change much, but her eyes looked like a wall coming up brick by brick. You want a lesson, Daniel? Fine. She slid her wedding ring off and set it on the table. It landed with a small sound that somehow felt louder than anything else in the room. We're done. Sloane whispered her name. I didn't move. Riley turned and walked out, her coffee untouched, her back straight, not once looking back. I sat there staring at the ring on the table. People around us tried not to look, but I could feel their eyes. Sloane reached for it, then stopped. I'm sorry, she said. I nodded once, picked up the ring, and closed my hand around it. That was the last moment I thought the situation could still be fixed. I had no idea the next time I'd see her face, it would be on my phone screen, under a post that would turn me from a husband trying to fix things into the villain of her story. 2 weeks. That's how long it took for Riley to flip the story. In her version, I was the husband who ran to her sister the moment she refused to cook. In mine, I was still trying to fix a marriage she had already decided to walk away from. But the truth didn't matter much. People always choose the louder version. That Sunday morning, I woke up to notifications buzzing nonstop. My phone was lighting up like an alarm. Messages, screenshots, missed calls. My friend Marcus finally sent me what everyone else was seeing. Riley's Facebook post. When your husband crosses boundaries with your sister, you realize love was just control in disguise. Hearts and applause emojis were flooding the comments. Queen energy. Glad you left him. Men show their true colors after marriage. She'd tagged Sloane. Sloane's reply sat at the bottom of the thread. This isn't what you think. But no one cared. Her audience had already chosen sides. Riley didn't just leave me. She rewrote me. By that night, I was pacing the apartment, trying to decide if I should respond. Sloane showed up instead. 2 knocks, fast, like she wanted to get it over with. When I opened the door, she looked worn out, tired eyes, hair pulled back, sweatshirt half zipped. She's furious, she said. She thinks we had something. I shook my head slowly. You told her the truth? I tried. She doesn't believe me. She rubbed her temples. She's living with some guy named Chris. Realtor. Drives a Tesla. Met him 3 days after she left. That fast. Sloane nodded. She's posting rooftop dinners, wine glasses, the works. I leaned against the counter, trying to laugh, but not really managing it. Good for her, I guess. But something about it didn't sit right. Riley wasn't spontaneous. She planned everything. Vacations, dinners, arguments. If she moved in with a guy that fast, it wasn't new. It was waiting. That Friday, I stopped by her old yoga studio to drop off her mail. IRS papers. Nothing emotional. I wasn't planning a confrontation. I just wanted it done. But as soon as I pulled into the parking lot, I saw the Tesla. Her laugh carried through the open window before I even saw her. She was sitting in the passenger seat, dressed up, holding a champagne bottle. For a moment, she looked like the Riley I used to know, carefree, light, until she turned and saw me. Her smile disappeared like someone cut the power. I walked over and held the envelope out. Mail. Didn't want you to miss it. Chris leaned his arm on the steering wheel, looking at me with that overconfident kind of grin people wear when they think they've already won. You're her ex? Riley didn't say a word. Yeah, I said, my voice calm. The husband who cooked for himself. Chris chuckled, slow and smug. Tough gig. Riley finally spoke, her tone sharp. Don't start, Daniel. I looked at her, then down at her hand. The same ring she'd taken off at the coffee shop, now back on her finger. She noticed me noticing. It's just jewelry, she said flatly. Right, I replied. Everything's always just something else with you. She said my name, but I'd already turned away. The sound of their laughter followed as I walked to my car. It wasn't cruel laughter, just empty. The kind that told me she'd convinced herself this new version of the story was real. I sat behind the wheel for a long time before starting the car. I didn't cry, didn't yell, didn't break anything. I just watched the streetlights flicker on across the parking lot. Because deep down, I already knew something she didn't. Riley's new beginning wasn't built on love. A month passed. I hadn't heard from Riley. No calls, no texts, just the occasional social media post, filtered smiles, wine glasses, rooftops. She looked happy in that over-edited way people look when they're trying to prove something. Then one night, around 11:30 p.m., Marcus called me. His voice was half laughing, half shocked. Bro, you need to see this. He sent a link. The post's title hit me like a flash. My girlfriend keeps lying about being divorced. Turns out her husband never signed the papers. I scrolled. The username belonged to Chris. She told me her ex cheated with her sister, the post read. But her sister just emailed me proof it was all lies. Now I don't know who I've been living with. Screenshots followed. Text messages, photos, the ring still on Riley's hand 2 days ago. It was all there. The lies she told, the story she twisted, the life she'd built out of blame. And it was falling apart publicly, in front of thousands. My phone started blowing up again. Notifications, messages, people tagging Riley's old post. This time, no one was cheering. No one was saying Queen Energy. They were laughing, quoting her own words back at her. Her truth had collapsed, and I hadn't lifted a single finger. The next evening, I was sitting on my couch when a knock came, soft, uncertain. I already knew who it was. I opened the door, and there she was. Riley. No makeup. Eyes red. Jacket zipped up wrong like she'd dressed in a hurry. Daniel, she said quietly. I didn't answer. She took a breath, hands twisting her scarf. He's gone. Chris. He posted everything. Everyone saw. I just nodded. Good. Now the truth's out. I didn't mean to hurt you, she said, her voice low. I was angry. I thought you went behind my back with Sloan. I looked at her carefully. You told the whole world I cheated on you, Riley. You made me a villain because I tried to get help. She stared at the floor. I know I went too far. I stepped aside. You can come in. 5 minutes. That's all. She walked in slowly. The place was cleaner than when she left. New rug, new dishes, new peace. She looked around like she didn't belong there anymore. We sat across from each other at the kitchen table, the same one we'd argued at over breakfast a month ago. Her voice was small when she finally spoke. You met with my sister that day. Did you ever feel something for her? I met her eyes. No, but she cared more about our marriage than you did. She flinched. For a long moment, there was nothing but the hum of the fridge. Then her phone lit up. The message on the screen made her whole face change. She grabbed it fast, but not before I saw the name. Sloan. The text said, Riley, you should have told him before I did. Riley froze. Her expression shifted. Guilt. Fear. Something else I couldn't place. What's that? I asked. She didn't move. The phone buzzed again. I'm sorry, Daniel. You deserve to know. My chest tightened. I reached for the phone. She didn't stop me. I opened the message thread. Scrolled once. Stopped. What I read made everything fall into place. Every lie, every fast move, every word she'd thrown at me. Sloane's message said, she came to me 3 months ago, said she was bored, said she met someone more exciting. I begged her to tell you before it got worse. She didn't. I only met you that day because I couldn't keep lying anymore. I looked up at Riley. You were seeing him before that dinner? Her eyes started to water. It wasn't serious. It was a mistake. Who? Chris, she said quietly. The world went still. Every memory rewound in my head. The dinner, the fight, the coffee shop, the Facebook post. It all made sense now. She hadn't left me for him. She'd already chosen him long before she walked out. I leaned back in my chair. My voice came out even. All that talk about respect, independence, not being my maid. It was just cover, wasn't it? No, she said softly. I was unhappy. You were unfaithful, I interrupted. That's different. She reached across the table. I didn't want to hurt you. I was scared. Scared of what? Cooking? Commitment? Or getting caught? Her tears came fast. Please, Daniel. I stood. Get out. She didn't move. You're really ending this? I looked at her, calm now. You already did. I'm just signing off. She wiped her face and whispered, I ruined everything because I thought you'd never leave me. I nodded. You were right about the first part. Not the second. That night, I sat alone, staring at her ring sitting on the counter. I didn't feel victorious. Just quiet. 3 months passed. I moved out of that apartment, boxed up the memories, and took a new place in Seattle. The air was clean, the streets felt new, and no one there knew my story. It was exactly what I needed, peace without explanation. Most nights were quiet. I cooked simple meals, worked late, read before bed. I didn't check Riley's social media anymore. Whatever she was doing wasn't my concern. Or so I told myself. Then one evening, Sloan texted. She's gone. Chris dumped her. He found out she'd been using his money to pay off your joint credit card. She's moving back to your parents' town. I stared at the screen for a long time before replying. Thanks for letting me know. That was it. No anger, no satisfaction. Just a line drawn between the past and the present. A week later, I ran into Sloan by accident. I was at a small cafe near Pike Place Market when I heard her voice at the counter. We laughed at the coincidence and decided to sit for a few minutes. She looked tired but lighter somehow. I always hoped she'd come around, she said. But Riley never learned that people break when you treat them like props. I nodded. Sometimes losing everything is the only way people learn. We sat in comfortable silence for a while, the sound of the espresso machine filling the gaps. Then she said quietly, "She asks about you sometimes. What do you tell her?" "That you're doing fine. Better than fine." She smiled faintly, then checked her watch and left. For the first time in a long while, I didn't feel bitterness when I heard Riley's name, just distance, like an old movie you've seen enough times to know every ending. A few days later, a message popped up on my phone. The number looked familiar, but wasn't saved anymore. "Riley, hey, I heard you moved. I just wanted to say, I finally get it. I was cruel. I lost a good man. I hope you're happy." I read it twice, then set my phone down. 10 minutes passed before I typed a reply. "I am. Take care, Riley." That was it. No long explanations, no wish for closure. Just honesty and finality. Weeks turned into months. Seattle started to feel like home. I joined a small hiking group, started cooking again. Not for anyone else, just for me. Somewhere along the way, I met someone new. Her name was Maya. She laughed easily, listened without interrupting, and never turned everything into a battle of pride. One morning, I burned the toast. She just smiled and said, "Well, now it's crispy." And I laughed, a real laugh I hadn't heard from myself in a long time. It wasn't about replacing Riley. It was about remembering what peace felt like. Sometimes, at night, I think about how everything started. One dinner, one sentence, one small spark that burned down an entire life. She said, "I'm your wife, not your maid." Maybe she was right in some way. But she forgot that marriage isn't about serving. It's about standing beside. She used her pride to test me, and her lies to protect her own ego. But in the end, she taught herself the hardest truth. You can't build happiness on humiliation or half-truths. Karma didn't rush. It came quietly, through her own actions, her own words, and the silence that followed when no one believed her anymore. And me? I didn't need revenge anymore. I'd already won the moment I stopped playing her game. Now, when I think of that night at my parents' table, the quiet pause, the roles, the words that started it all, I don't feel anger. I just see how small that moment was compared to everything it revealed. People say time heals. I don't think that's true. I think time teaches. And the lesson Riley learned the hard way is the one I carry with me every day. Sometimes, you don't need to destroy someone to win. You just have to walk away and let the truth finish the job.